Welcome to your deep dive. Today we are really tearing apart the source material, covering that explosive opener to the National League wildcard series.
Yeah, the Los Angeles Dodgers pretty dominant 10-5 victory over the Cincinnati Reds in Game 1.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And this wasn't just, a standard playoff win. It was a real data point showing what happens when pure power meets, well, a pitching mismatch.
That's really the mission right there, isn't it? Understanding the architecture of a 10-5 final score when, the game felt functionally over by the third inning.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at how the NL West winning Dodgers, who finished 93-69, basically just used the long ball to kind of crush the hopes of the 83-79 Reds.
Who were, 14 games out in the NL Central? Big gap there.
Huge gap. And the story isn't really that final tally. It's the early, just overwhelming force they showed.
Huh, okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start with the core statistical contrast, because I think this is where the game was decided most instantly.
Right.
When you look at the box score, you see a chasm, not just a gap between the two offenses.
Well, what's fascinating here is that the Dodgers didn't just win. They manufactured their lead almost entirely through high-leverage power swings.
Ugh.
The Dodgers racked up 15 total hits, which is impressive enough, but they blistered 5 home runs. 5.
Wow.
Achieving 31 total bases in the game. That's an offensive juggernaut right there.
And the Reds, it felt like they were just stranded on an island of singles and maybe a few walks.
Pretty much. They managed only 7 total hits, 0 home runs.
0 in a playoff game.
Yeah, and a mere 9 total bases for the entire game. That massive defining difference, 31-9 in total bases, it just shows the Dodgers' offense was fundamentally different.
Relying on those single swings to score multiple runs.
Exactly. This is the difference between small ball run manufacturing, which the Reds were kind of forced into later,
Right.
and the immediate detonation provided by guys like Shohei Ohtani and Teoscar Hernandez.
So the specific sequence of those home runs, that really tells the strategic tale, doesn't it? How quickly the game just slipped away from Cincinnati's starter, Hunter Green.
Absolutely. You want to walk us through that?
Yeah, let's look at that sequence because it really looks like almost a targeted attack against a high-velocity pitcher who just couldn't locate.
Okay. So it started relatively innocuously, you could say, in the first inning.
Right.
Ohtani drove one out to right, 375 feet. A solo shot makes it 1-0.
Okay. Simple enough. Early run sets the tone.
But the critical failure, I think, really came in the third inning.
That's where P. Hernandez stepped up. Big time.
Yeah, a 390-foot shot to left field scored Freddie Freeman and Max Muncy.
So that's 3 runs on one swing, takes the score instantly from 1-0 to 4-0. Big momentum shift.
And what's critical is what happened next. Following a 3-run blast, the pitcher has to settle down, right? Find the zone again.
Yeah, gut stop the bleeding.
Instead, Edman immediately followed up. Another homer, 388 feet to right.
Back to back. Ouch.
That back-to-back sequence, making it 5-0, that was the moment I think the game was functionally over for Hunter Green.
Yeah, you kind of felt it then.
You've gone from a manageable, 1-0 deficit to a 5-run hole in just minutes. The pressure on that young starter must have been unbearable.
So we see the pitcher cracked under pressure there in the third, definitely leading to those back-to-back shots. But the power didn't stop there, which suggests the bullpen didn't provide immediate relief either.
No, not really. T. Hernandez came back up in the 5th, hit his second home run of the night.
Another one.
Another one. Another 390-footer, this time to right center. Pushed the lead to 6-0.
So that highlights a predictability issue, maybe. Like the Dodgers hitters were clearly sitting on something they knew they could drive.
It seems like it. They were definitely locked in on something.
And then, just in case the Reds had any, lingering doubts, Ohtani delivered the true exclamation point in the 6th. We have to talk about this one.
Oh, yeah. The monster shot.
A massive 454-foot blast to right center. Scored Enrique Hernandez, too, pushing the lead to 8-0. Just, wow.
And the contrast between Ohtani's 2 home runs is, I think, pretty insightful.
How so?
Well, his first was, a functional home run, 375 feet, just cleared the wall, job done.
Right.
His second, that 454-footer, that shows he had absolutely timed up the reliever, saw the pitch he wanted, and just crushed it. No doubt about that one.
Yeah, that's a statement.
And when a team can get multiple 2-homer games from 2 different sluggers in the same playoff game, well, the opposing pitching staff is struggling badly with location, selection, everything.
This overwhelming power display, it naturally forces us to look at the other side of the equation, right? the starting pitching contrast. You
Mhm.
rarely see this level of disparity in a playoff game one. It was stark.
That's where the analysis shifts from just raw offense to execution, I think. Blake Snell, the Dodgers starter, he earned the win, moves to 1-0 in the series.
And he was good, looked sharp.
He was more than good. He was almost surgical, pitched 7.0 innings, struck out 9 batters, walked only 1 while allowing just 4 hits. Pretty dominant stuff.
Okay, wait, I have to maybe challenge the surgical narrative just slightly here. The box score does show Snell allowed 2 earned runs.
Right, he did.
So, while dominant overall, where did those 2 runs come from, and why didn't they really matter in the broader context of the game, you think?
That's a great question, and, it speaks to the high standard we hold playoff starters to, right?
Yeah, fair point.
The sources suggest those 2 earned runs were less about, structural failure on his part and maybe more about late-game efficiency adjustments. They happened when the Dodgers were already way ahead, 8-0.
Okay, so context matters.
Totally. He did his primary job,
Huh?
taking the ball deep into the game, neutralizing the Reds' biggest threats early, and ensuring the bullpen only needed minor deployment. His 9 strikeouts over 7 innings, that really shows he was in complete control for most of the outing, despite maybe a momentary lapse that led to that scoring in the 7th.
Okay. Now, conversely, Hunter Green's performance. Disastrous might be the right word.
Yeah, it's hard to frame it any other way for a Game 1 start. He took the loss, lasted only 3.0 innings.
3 innings. Oof.
Gave up 6 hits, 5 earned runs. That calculates out to a 15.00 ERA for the night.
15.
Yeah. So for a pitcher with his kind of potential, what does that early exit and that high run total imply about maybe the Dodgers scouting and their approach against him?
What do you think?
Well, it implies the Dodgers hitters were just incredibly prepared to capitalize on his high velocity the second it missed its mark.
Right. Velocity isn't everything if you can't locate.
Exactly. Green's job is to dominate with that fastball, set up his secondary pitches. But when 5 of the 6 hits he allowed went for extra bases, including those 3 homers,
Yeah.
it means the Dodgers were sitting back, maybe waiting for that one mistake pitch per at-bat, and they just got it repeatedly. His exit after just 3 innings put immense pressure on a Reds bullpen that was already, facing a really potent lineup.
Okay, let's pivot to that bullpen then. Because the lead looked absolutely insurmountable, 8-0 after 6 innings. But, credit to the Reds, they didn't just roll over.
No, they didn't.
They staged a pretty significant late-game effort, scoring 5 runs across the 7th and 8th innings. That rally, I think, is important psychologically, even in a blowout loss like this.
It is, absolutely. Because it raises the question, right, did the Dodgers kind of take their foot off the gas, maybe bring in lower leverage relievers, or did the Reds finally break through tactically?
Mm-hmm. How did they score those runs?
Let's look at how they scored. It wasn't power, that's for sure. It was more like manufactured chaos, grinding out runs.
So in the 7th, they managed 2 runs. We saw De La Cruz ground into a fielder's choice, scored Hayes. Then Stevenson doubled to left, scoring De La Cruz.
Right. Small ball. Moving runners, capitalizing on the few opportunities they got.
And that's where maybe the Reds' bullpen performance, at least parts of it, has to be highlighted, because it seemed like they needed some stability for the offense to even have a chance.
Well, yeah. Reliever Esperlo was actually outstanding.
Okay.
He delivered 1.2 innings of 0-hit baseball, struck out 4 batters. He really held the line for a bit there, and essentially gave the Reds a brief pause in the Dodgers' onslaught. Gave them a breather.
That relief was crucial, yeah, but it obviously didn't last forever. In the 8th, the Dodgers tacked on a couple more runs to make it 10-2.
Right.
But the Reds kept pushing back, scoring 3 more runs in their half of the 8th to settle that final score at 10-5.
And those final 3 runs were really the definition of gritty, situational hitting. This was against relievers C. Phillips and B. Suter.
How'd they score those?
We saw McLean score on a walk to Stewart, Steer singled to score Marte, and finally De La Cruz walked again, forcing in Andujar. Lots of walks involved late.
It's a high number of runs, 5 runs, for a team that struggled so much offensively for most of the game. Let's maybe focus on those Cincinnati standouts for a second.
Okay.
McLean and Steer both went 2 for 4. Posted .500 averages for the night. That shows they were aggressive and finding some success at the plate, at least.
Yeah, they had good nights individually. Yeah. But I think the most fascinating player spotlight has to be Elly De La Cruz.
Oh, interesting. Why him? He went hitless.
Exactly. He went 0 for 3, didn't record a single hit, yet somehow still managed to contribute 2 RBIs.
How? Oh, right, the fielder's choice and a walk.
Right, via a fielder's choice and that bases-loaded walk. Now look, hitting 0 for 3 in a playoff game is never ideal, obviously.
Yeah.
But Finding ways to maximize value even without hits, like taking walks, driving in runs from the lower half of the order, that's actually an important tactical adjustment they might be able to carry into Game 2. It shows some plate discipline when they desperately needed it most.
Okay, that's a good point.
Right.
Now, if we connect this back to the broader baseball picture, this game was clearly the heavyweight showing up in style.
No doubt. The game itself lasted 3 hours and 8 minutes. Played in front of over 50,000 fans at Dodger Stadium.
And it really confirmed the Dodgers' status as the team to beat in this short series.
And, that high score had major implications for the outside observer, too, like the betting world.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, the final total was 15 runs. That absolutely obliterated the betting line, the over-under, which was set incredibly low at 7.5 runs.
7.5. Wow. Yeah, they blew past that.
Way past it. So while the Dodgers were heavily favored on the money line, around a negative 190, I think.
Okay.
The run output soaring that far past expectations tells you something about the scale of the offensive dominance that night. Way more offense than predicted.
We should also probably briefly look at what else was happening on day one of the wildcard action, just to give this game some context across the league.
Good idea.
Because while the Dodgers were relying on just massive power, the AL wildcard featured a completely different kind of story, right? A pitching masterpiece.
That's right. While Los Angeles was busy hitting 5 homers, down south, the rival Yankees were losing 3-1 to the Red Sox.
Lower scoring game.
Much lower. And that game was defined by Chicago's Garrett Crochet, who apparently retired 17 consecutive batters at one point.
17 straight? That's dominance of a different kind.
Totally different kind of playoff pressure. It
Yeah.
really highlights that the Dodgers achieved their win through, brute force offense, whereas other series openers were maybe being defined more by pitching.
And you also had the immediate drama over there with Yankees manager Aaron Boone already defending his decision to pull his starter, Fried.
Right.
Shows that playoff managerial decisions are under the microscope from minute one, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Whereas here, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts, he had no such worries. Thanks to Blake Snell's deep, effective outing, made his job much easier.
Definitely.
So this 1-0 series lead, it puts the Dodgers in an excellent position heading into Game 2. That's scheduled for October 1st.
With Game 3, if necessary, on October 2nd. Both on ESPN platforms.
Correct. And the psychological advantage gained from a high-power blowout like this, coupled with the fact that they didn't have to overuse their high-leverage bullpen arms, that's immense in a short series.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener, taking in all of this information? Game 1, it seems, was defined by the fact that the Dodgers' power wasn't just occasional, it was repeatable and it was clustered.
Yeah.
Leading to those 2 separate multi-homer innings. And that early power just shattered the Reds starter, Hunter Green. Confidence gone.
And the data, it really reveals the strategic priority now for Cincinnati heading into Game 2, doesn't it?
What do you see as the priority?
Well, they proved they could manufacture 5 runs later in the game, mostly through discipline and taking walks. That's good. But the power gap, that 31 total bases versus 9, that is just too vast to overcome repeatedly.
Yeah, can't rely on walks every game.
Exactly. The late rally prevented maybe a complete embarrassment, sure, but it didn't fundamentally change the outcome or the narrative of Game 1.
The NL wildcard is officially underway, and you now have the deep analytical breakdown of how the Dodgers secured that 10-5 victory. For us, I think the key takeaway is recognizing how a few high-leverage, really well-timed power swings can just completely change the script of a playoff series.
Right.
It renders even those resilient late rallies largely moot in the end.
So the question we leave you with, based on the immediate and frankly overwhelming failure of Hunter Green against these Dodgers sluggers, is this. What specific, maybe even drastic strategic adjustments must the Reds pitching staff make, beyond just, hoping for better location, to suppress this predictable home run threat in Game 2, especially when you're facing a team that just showed it can hit a ball 454 feet?
That's the million-dollar question for Cincinnati going forward.